exploit my mom's death and make my dad's life hell because you are rich and important, be exposed in front of every important person in the city and lose your social status. Before I start, a little background on my family. My father is a typical working class man from a poor family who worked pretty much his entire life. My mom on the other hand comes from a very important and respected family of my city. Her family is wealthy, with strong connections and are friends with pretty much all the important people of my city, from the mayor and his entourage to lawmen and businessmen. Now my mom and dad met a long time ago and fell in love instantly. Soon they were married. My mom's family disliked my dad from the beginning. They saw him as a poor pleb and a disgrace to the family. When my brother and I came along, they also demanded us to be named from members of their side of the family since we would have my dad's last name, etc., etc. You get the point. Posh, arrogant pricks. When I was 8 and my brother 9, our mom got diagnosed with cancer. 3 years later she died. My dad was alongside her the entire time. Her own family not. Her sister, my aunt, was always absent in some formal reception and always claimed she was busy, and her mother, my grandmother, was claiming she was too old to move while her health was perfect. In total they barely visited my mom in 3 years. The day my mom died we were devastated. Both me and my brother cried like babies. We were kids actually, 12 and 13 respectively, and our dad was in shambles. Then it all happened. A few hours later my dad gets a phone call. It's from my aunt and says they need to meet instantly. So, he goes to meet them. What followed was mental. My aunt, with a lawyer on her side, started attacking my dad, telling him that now that his wife was dead, he was incapable of having custody of the kids, me and my brother, and that they should take care of us. My dad was furious and said no. They responded the next day with more pestering and abuse. Mind you, the funeral hadn't even taken place yet. This went on for years. Each time different demands. They ended up accusing my dad of assaulting my aunt, causing a lot of people to turn their backs on us. They started sending my dad legal papers on what they could do, etc., etc. Then they tried taking away our inheritance based on stupid shit. We ended up finding out that some money reserved for us had suddenly vanished, and then they called us and threatened my dad that if he doesn't give custody, they will not give us the money. Thanks to a stupid law in my country, they could do that. My dad felt like shit. Many times, we caught him crying on top of piles of papers, or hitting his head on the table in despair. In the night we could hear him crying from our room and could do nothing about it. They made his life a torture. The only thing that kept him sane was my brother and I. And he was great as a dad. He provided for us, and despite his mental state being awful, he was an amazing dad. Fast forward 10 years later. The abuse stopped. My father found a girlfriend who is amazing and are happy together. Both my brother and I got accepted into university and are doing pretty well. My mom's family have stopped talking to us, and every time they try to make contact, we promptly ignore them. Until this summer. You see, this summer my cousin got married. They invited us to the wedding. When I say us, I mean my brother and I. So, we accepted and started crafting the plan. Because in my country weddings are a huge deal, a lot of people would be there. And also because of the social status of my mom's family, the most important people would be there. So, we decided to use that into our advantage. You see, a lot of people had no clue about the whole story, only the parts they told them. It was exposure time. The big day arrives and I'm full on ready. I go to the church and outside I see the people. Then my brother arrives and we know stuff are about to go down. The reception starts and we are patiently waiting for it to end and the after party to begin. In the after party, which was in a huge mansion outside the city, everyone is present. We spot my aunt and my grandmother in a group of people. One of these people is the mayor. Bingo. So, we approach them in a friendly way. My aunt says to the people the classics, "Have you met my nephews?" etc., etc. Then we start hearing the conversation a bit. As we predicted, they started talking about my dad, how horrible he was, how he exploited my mom, and how lucky we are that came out bright unlike him. That last one pissed me off. I raise my glass, I look my aunt in the eyes, and inside the whole group of the most wealthy, important and prestigious people of my city I say, actually. I unleashed the whole story, all while praising my dad and danging my aunt and my grandmother. If I left anything out, my brother would fill in. After I finished, complete silence fell. My aunt was red from anger, my grandmother was on the verge of bursting into tears, everyone else shocked. They started looking at them too in dismay and anger. My little cousin, not the one getting married, who was oblivious to the whole situation, wanted to just leave and was constantly asking my aunt, "Mom, is that true?" The story was presented with such attention to detail that they couldn't even deny anything. Then we say the bombshell. At least we came out fine, our studies are going excellent, all thanks to our dad. That last one was to rub salt at the wound of them. We then left them in shock. From other people we later learned that everyone turned their backs to them, they became the shame of the city, and ended up isolated in their big fancy houses. The mayor cut all contacts with them, so did all the businessmen and everyone. In fact, the big bomb was when a business they owned shut down because no one would fund them. I only feel sorry for the employees of them, who were left without a job. Another big hit came when the municipal council, clearly by the mayor's orders, removed the commemorative plaques in some buildings they had donated money in. That killed them inside. They tried to reconciliation afterwards, but we ignored them. The most beautiful thing was when my dad learned of what we did. He was the happiest man alive, seeing the rich arrogant assholes who tormented him, go down like that. Don't mess with us even if you are family. Edit 1, because I saw a lot of people wondering about the law. The law itself wasn't so straightforward. There isn't a law that directly allows people to just take away inheritance money. In my case they could do it because of a legal paper my mom hadn't signed before her death. You can actually say that it was a bit of my mom's fault. In the end, through legal ways, we managed to get those money. Edit 2, holy shit, I went to sleep, woke up and it exploded. Thank you very much, people. I really appreciate that. Also, I'll let my dad know about your kind words. He won't admit it, but he will be buzzing when I tell him. And it's my first time I'm getting silver. Thank you again. TLDR. My rich and arrogant aunt and grandmother turned my dad's life into hell for many years right after my mom died. We exposed them into the most important and powerful people of our city, leading to their demise. Now to the comments. Which country do you live in? Because of that stupid inheritance law. Just curious. My first guess is India. I have no idea about their inheritance law, however. India sounds dead on, especially with the focus on social standing. Don't assume kids are oblivious to these situations. But OP's little cousin was. He wasn't in the middle of the situation. I had a pretty similar life story, except I actually got sued by aunts and grandparents, and I was 7 when my mother passed of cancer. I am very surprised someone has a story just like me. I feel your pain. Edit, they, my grandparents, were suing for custody of me and my sisters, and actually won kinda, but we just were ignoring them until they gave up. How can you ignore somebody who has custody of you? Possession is 9/10 of the law? You should also post this on r/Supernova Revenge. Jesus Christ, how many ducking revenge subreddit are there? For every level, nuclear is illegal or by your own actions, not by law. Pro can be illegal and legal, but normally is just taken by law, and supernova is not illegal, but also not legal, which means destroy someone's life to every extent without being a villain and also not being the hero. A bit shame it happened on the day that was supposed to be the happiest day for your cousins, especially since they clearly had no idea what was going on. But I get your reasoning for doing that there and then. How did your dad react? Have you told him at all? OP replied, there was no other chance for me. Also, my dad was really happy. In the beginning he tried to play the "it's not correct" card, but he was so happy that he ended up giving that up. He still brings it up from time to time. Glad he agrees. Give him a hug from me and let him know a lot of internet people greatly admires him and his strength.